Jana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा. So welcome to the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu Southern Division. We have been doing the overview of Vyabhicāri Bhav, and we yesterday saw uh, two things. One is Abhas Vyabhicāri Bhav, which is Pratikul in hostile persons. It is Vyabhicāri Abhas. It's not really actually Vyabhicāri Bhav because they don't have Bhava for the Lord. They don't have the Stahi Bhava. And then we saw anuchit in objects incapable of rasa, that's the plant and the animals. Although they have consciousness, but they don't have discrimination. So these little difference between the plants and animals is what Rupa Goswami discusses. And then after that, we discussed the stages of Vyabhicāri Bhavs. As I mentioned, the Vyabhicāri Bhav is a wave in the Stahi Bhav. It appears, it can mix, and then there are conflicting sabhalya and disappearance. So within this, we saw how this, with this diagram, there is a Stahi Bhav and the Vyabhicāri Bhav appears, and then there can be mixing of the Vyabhicāri Bhavs, and then there can be conflicting Vyabhicāri Bhavs, and then there is gradual disappearance. So we saw this also. And we saw this four definitions also. What is the initial manifestation is the Utpatti, and then example is given of Yashoda. Suddenly Vatsalya Bhav goes to a height when she sees the sun setting and the flute. So then we saw Sandhi, because there is after appearance, there is Sandhi. So in Sandhi, when the same bhavas or two different bhavas mix, it is called Bhava Sandhi. Then we saw Sarup Sandhi. Sarup Sandhi is same Vyabhicāri Bhav arising from two different causes. It's the same Vyabhicāri Bhav arising from different. Jad arising from seeing Putana dead and Krishna also on the body of Putana. Both these, Putana dead is a favorable thing, and Krishna on the body of Putana is unfavorable. Both are causing Jad, Vyabhicāri Bhav. So this is from two different causes. And then we saw Bhinnayor, when two different Vyabhicāri Bhavs arise from same or different causes, join. So there are not one same Vyabhicāri Bhav, but two different, and they can come from one cause or different causes. So then we saw this example, two Vyabhicāri Bhavs from one source, and Krishna is running inside and outside, and this is causing fear. In Mother Yashoda, she's seeing how fearless this boy is, and she's causing happiness also, and at the same time, it is causing her apprehension about Krishna. So they are coming from the same source, Krishna, but there are two different bhavas, the Harsha and the Shanka. And then we saw also two bhavas from differing sources, Harsha and Vishad. Devaki sees Krishna and she feels happiness, but seeing the wrestlers, this is the second source, she feels, she begins to shed tears, hot tears, there is a Vishad, lamentation. So their happiness tears are always cool, and tears of distress or lamentation are hot. So we saw that. And then there are combinations of bhavas arising from one cause. That also we saw. And many bhavas arising from many causes. And Radharani's example we saw. And then we saw the definition of sabhalya. Many bhavas conflict with each other. So there are conflicting bhavas, and they can come from different sources also. We saw that. And then we saw the bhava shanti. When the bhav which has become prominent disappears, it is called bhava shanti. And we saw the example, the friends of Krishna searching for Krishna, and there is a particular Vyabhicāri bhav they are experiencing. And then seeing Krishna on the hill playing the flute, they become filled with joy and their hair stand on end. So that bhava ultimately disappears. And then there are other verses which Rup Goswami is speaking now, which we will just take up quickly. Though my words do not have variety in meaning or flavor, examples of Vyabhicāri bhavs have been presented to indicate their essential nature as much as possible. But actually, Rup Goswami has gone more in depth, if you see, and no other acharya or no other teacher ever in this universe has dealt so much in depth in rasa. In fact, after discussing how these components of rasa give rise to different bhavas, like the stahi bhav of shantarati, shant bhav, sakya bhav, dasya bhav, vatsalya and madhurya bhav. Rup Goswami is going to write a separate work on madhurya bhav, which is called as the Ujjvala Neelmani. But please remember, Ujjvala Neelmani is not for sadhakas. When you have dived in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu and gone deep into the ocean. So when you go deep in the ocean, what do you find? You find pearls, monies. So Ujjvala Neelamani. So Neelamani, Ujjvala means the topmost, the Madhuri Ras. So once you have attained Siddhi, you can say, or you have attained the Bhava stage, then for your personal nourishment, under again guidance of your instructing and initiating spiritual masters, you can read, but not at all recommended for sadhakas at all. So he has gone quite in depth, you can see that. Now further, the 41 chief bhavas or emotions, ete chatvarimshat ami smrita, are these 33 Vyabhicāri bhavas, trayas trimshad ime, the 7 secondary stahi bhavas, ashto, asto cha vakshante stahinas, and the one mukhya stahi bhav of the devotee, ye che cha ye mukhya bhava vidastu. So there are total how many bhavas? There are 41 chief bhavas, emotions. How it is 41? There are 33 Vyabhicāri bhavas and there is 7 secondary bhavas. There are the mukhya rasas and the gaun rasas. And in the mukhya rasas, there is the shant, dasya, sakya, vatsalya, and madhurya. The gaun rasas are, hasya, karuna, bibhatsya rasa. So 33 plus 7 is 40. And a devotee is having only one type of stahi bhav. He cannot have two types. Like Mother Yashoda is always in Vatsalya Ras with Krishna. She cannot change her Vatsalya to Madhurya. No. Radharani is in Madhurya Ras. The gopis are in Madhurya Ras. The friends of Krishna are in Sakya Ras. So there is one Mukhya Stahi Bhav, and this one Mukhya Stahi Bhav with all these 33 Vyabhicāri Bhavs and the second Stahi Bhavs is what is there. There are 41 chief Stahi Bhavs. Okay. There's a footnote. Later, Rupa Goswami explains that the 7 secondary ratis are actually Vyabhicāri Bhavs. So he'll explain when he goes to the northern division, when he takes up the 7 secondary bhavas, stahi bhavas. He classes them as ratis only out of deference to Bharat Muni and others. He does this classification just to uh, defer with Bharat Muni and others who have written mundane Rasa Shastra. Though a devotee may have a mixture of primary retiris in his relationship with Krishna, one of those is dominant as a Sahibhav. I explained this to you. And others appear only at certain times, not at the same time as Vyabhicāri bhavas or secondary ratis. So the devotee will have one Mukhya primary Sahibhav, and these Vyabhicāri bhavas and secondary ratis can appear. Ashto 8 refers to the 7 secondary Sahibhavas such as Hasya and the one normal state of bhakti of the particular devotee. So Ashto, I was also wondering why it is here Ashto, it should be 7. Ashto refers to, actually it should come here, the translation. Ashto should refer to the 7 plus the 1. Yeah, 7 plus 1 is Ashto. The word Mukhya here excludes the Satviki Bhavas. So Satviki Bhavas are not included here. Note, the Satviki Bhavas and Anubhavas are not classed as Bhava Rupa Bhakti, but Cheshta Rupa Bhakti. Now, to again understand this, we have to study the Eastern division. In the Eastern division, when Rupa Goswami defines Sadhana Bhakti or Uttama Bhakti, he explains what is Bhava Rupa Bhakti and Cheshta Rupa Bhakti. So there the discussion comes. So I will not go into this now. Okay. The transformations of the mind, Chitta Vritti, created by the appearance of these 41 bhavas are said to create transformations in the body of all the senses, Sarvendriya Vargasya. So these transformations which happen, actually these are the ones which actually create the vikar in the body. And in one sense, these transformations which happen by the 41 bhavas, they become the cause of sattvic bhavas and anubhavas. So we saw that, there's intense lamentation and tears come. Tears are sattvic bhavas, ashtasattvic vikars, right? So like that. And then there is anubhavas also. They are voluntary actions. Okay. One bhav is natural to a person and the other bhavas are incidental. The natural bhava spreads internally and externally, just as red color is completely identical with naturally red substances. Thus, the natural bhava becomes very apparent just by a slight contact with the cause, Krishna. So the natural bhava is the one stahi bhav. Okay. Vishwanath Chakra Thakur. Among the 41 bhavas, such as Augra, Chapalya, Dhairya, or Lajja, one is natural. That bhava permeates the devotee internally and externally. It is similar to red color in a natural red object such as red dye, manjishta, which spreading internally and externally within the objects appears to be one with that substance completely. So some, bhavas are very natural, like, uh, Madhu Mangal, he has one of the Vyabhicāri bhava of Hasya. And this devotee is a comedian. He's a comedian. So it is natural internally and externally. So that's what, this verse is saying. Okay, Prabhupada speaks about the same thing, 33 disturbing ecstatic loves. This is the Vyabhicāri bhavas. And then these are different feelings in the heart, he says. They are sometimes appearing naturally. The symptoms which are natural always remain both within and without the devotee. Prabhupada also says the same. By this natural bhava, etena sahajena bhavena, rati, attraction, love appears. Anugata rati. Though rati is one, in speaking about it generally, eka rupaya piya, it appears in various forms when wishing to describe its various qualities. Bhaktir vivida pratibhavetya aso. That rati which is acquired by that natural bhava, though only one, when speaking out we generally takes many forms such as sant and thus, when speaking of different qualities such as shant in various types of devotee. Yeah. So I was mentioning, I was just giving the example of hasya, but actually that one bhava is the stahi bhav. And that stahi bhav goes into this various colors, emotions of the Vyabhicāri bhavs and the uh, uh, the Gaun rasas also. So all that. Just as, again, he gives an example, just as cloth appears red when red dye is applied to a cloth, the incidental bhavas become situated in the devotees by various causes and then become visible. So there is one Sahi bhav, and the incidental bhavas also appear by cause of various causes, and they all become visible. Besides the natural bhava, there are incidental bhavas. The natural or the intrinsic bhava is compared to white cloth, and the incidental bhavas are compared to dye. So the natural bhava can be, like dasiras, which is like the white cloth. And the incidental bhavas are the different paintings, different colors on that white cloth. So always that white cloth will remain. You have to understand that. Or say Vatsalya, take it as, a dark red cloth. And then there are different colors on that. So they all embellish the Vatsalyarati. So the backdrop remains the same. And then the different colors, embellish the Stahi Bhav. Just as red dye colors a white cloth red, the incidental bhavas become situated in the devotees and becomes visible in them by intrinsic causes. It has already been said among the Vyabhicāri bhavas, some act as cause, vibhav, and some act as effect, anubhav, which we have already discussed this. Okay, because of the variety of causes and other elements, vibhava adinan vaishishtyat, and the differences in devotees, bhaktanam vedasata, there is great diversity, vaishishtam upajayate, in every one of bhavas, prayana sarva bhavanam. So you cannot, just think about it. I'm just giving an example. Just think a person who is given the skill of painting, you give him one concept and he can come with unlimited varieties in that paintings, unlimited different shades of that only one particular concept, one backdrop. You give him one backdrop and he can bring up, he can mix colors and bring up so many different varieties, and all these varieties, when you see, you get so much rasa taste in paintings. So similarly, it is like this. There is unlimited variety. You just can't even conceive about it. Okay. So now this is the last topic which we are going to discuss today. This is the last topic, which is varieties of mind which affect the strength of the Vyabhicāri bhav. So any questions up till now? Any questions, any clarifications anyone has? So this is quite relatively simple. I am just going to quickly go through it. But before that, any questions I wanted to know? I hope it was quite clear. And I would recommend devotees who have uh, joined for this Tahiba presentation to go through all the verse by verse discussions. And then, so there is now this repressive in this Garishta, Gambhira, expansive, Karkasha had. And receptive, there is light, Lagishta, Uttana on the surface, and Shodishta, small. And there is Komal, soft. So here there are these different varieties of minds which affect the strength of it. Based on the strength of the mind, the Vyabhicharis, when they come, some are who are Gambhir, they, they don't get affected, although the Vyabhichari bhavs are there. But those who are, Komala, when the Vyabhicharis bhav manifest, they can, immediately tears can come in their eyes. So like that, we will see this. There are varieties of minds of the various types of devotees. devotees in Shant, Dasya. So there are different. In accordance to the varieties of minds, Mano, Anusarad, there are also varieties of gradations of appearance of bhavas because of various natures, such as Garishta. So one example he has given about Garishta. So there are varieties of minds because of varieties of devotees situated in Shant, Dasya. And according to these varieties of bhavas, there's gradation in appearance of bhavas. Let's see that. There are various minds of the devotees who have varieties of moods like Shantadas. The causes of gradation of bhavas, even in persons possessing one rati such as Das, are the particular qualities of the individual mind such as Garishta, which are described in the following verses. They'll be described now. Prabhupada speaks about the same thing. I will not go into it now. Okay. If these bhavas were to appear strongly in hearts, chitte, which are garishta, heavy. So the Vyabhicāri bhavas appear very strongly in the heart, which are garishta, gambhira, deep, mahishta, expansive, and karkasha, hard in nature. Ordinary people, Jani, could not perceive, na lakshate, the bhavas clearly, because there would be no external transformation in the body or senses. So that's why, those who are very elevated, they're very deep in their heart. And, they might have attained bhava bhakti, and by chanting the holy names, they might be experiencing very intense emotions, but you might not see any transformations. That is why the standard way to understand who is a bhava bhakta is to see whether he has these 9 symptoms what Rupa Goswami says. Avyartakalatvam, namagane sadaruchi, all these 9 qualities, but not the Ashtasattvic transformations, because these transformations can be imitated also. So that's why he, being very deep, he's able to control those emotions internally and not exhibit them because of his deep strength, and they appear strongly in the hearts, but they are very heavy and they are very deep. This verse begins the description of the degrees of manifestation of bhavas. When these bhavas arise even slightly, manag unmilitas chami, in hearts which are lagish to height, light, utthana, spread on the surface, chotani, shodishta, small, and komal, they are recognized externally. So when these bhavas appear even slightly, when the bhavas are very heavy, very strong, even in these 4 types, there will be no external transformation in the body and senses. But even when, bhavas appear slightly in the hearts of light, or spread on the surface, or komala, small, and komala, soft, they can be recognized externally. That's the point. Now, he starts comparing the heavy heart, Garishta, to different things for us to understand. The heavy heart is like a pile of gold. Swarna Pindabhyam. The light heart, Lagishtam, is a pile of cotton wool. The bhavas are like wind in relation to these types of hearts. So here there are 2 classifications done. One is the Garishta. The Garishta bhavas appear strongly, but their hearts are like gold. And the Lagishta and the Komal are compared to the cotton. And the bhavas appear very lightly. And the bhavas are here compared to the wind. Lagishta, beginning from Lagishta, are like cotton wool. Okay. Prabhupada also explains the same thing. Highly elevated and grave are compared to gold. The heart of one who is highly elevated and grave is compared to a gold. If one's heart is very soft and gentle, his heart is compared to a cotton swab. When there is an ecstatic sensation within the mind, the golden heart or the grave heart is not agitated, but the soft heart immediately becomes agitated. The deep heart is like an ocean. Now, Garishta has been discussed. The deep heart is now being discussed. The deep heart is like an ocean. And the shallow heart is like a pond, you know. So now the comparison is between the deep heart and the shallow heart. Now, within we saw here, I'll just come back. Spread on the surface, lagishta, you know. Lagishta is chotani. That's a shallow pond. A shallow pond. The bhavas are like pinnacles of high mountains. So now here the bhavas are compared to the, you know, um, mountains, pinnacles of the mountain. There the bhavas were compared to wind with respect to cotton and iron. You know, sorry, gold. A huge gold is kept and the wind is blowing. Gold doesn't get affected. And the cotton is there and wind blows, the cotton is affected. So that is for the lagishta. And then now the deep heart is ocean and the shallow heart is a pond, and the bhavas are now compared to the pinnacles of mountains. So here now, here you can see that, yeah, the bhavas are like pinnacles of high mountains for these two types of hearts. Okay. Now, the expansive heart is like a city, big city, and a small heart is like a hut. Bhava is like a lamp or an elephant for these two types of hearts. Now, in a huge city, there are many elephants moving here and there. So you will not recognize it. Or there are lamps here and there. And in a small hut, a huge elephant comes. It's easily recognizable. That's the point. To offer an example, a grave magnanimous heart is compared to a great city, and a soft heart is an insignificant cottage. There may be many lights or even great elephants in big city, but no one will take particular notice of them. But once such lights or elephants are seen near a small garden, everyone can distinctly point out them. So that's a difference. And then there are 3 degrees of hardness: Karkashayam, Trividam, Proktam. Thunderbolt, Vajram, Swarna, Gold, and Lac. Now there are degrees of hardness, Karkasham. Now here, if you see, of course, if it is brought out in a chart, then it becomes very easy. Karkash. Now within Karkash, there are 3 degrees of Karkash. That's what Rupa Goswami is discussing. We will try to draw the charts. You know? There are 3 degrees of hardness, Karkash. This is Thunderbolt, Gold, and Lac. So there are 3 degrees of hardness, and one is Thunderbolt, another is Gold and Lac, and Bhava is like a fire in relation to them. These 3 types of art. Now the Bhava is like fire. Now you light fire in a Thunderbolt. Thunderbolt, what effect it will have? Gold, you need a huge fire to melt gold. Lac, little fire and it will melt. That's the point. The thunderbolt is extremely hard, atyanta katinam vajram, and never becomes soft. Akotashana mardvam. This hardness is seen in the hearts of those who perform severe austerities. So that is why for the yogis and jnanis, and especially the yogis, it is difficult for them to experience these emotions because their hearts are very, very hard because of performing extreme tapasya. Okay. Tapaswadinam refers to immature devotees in shant mood. So these are the immature devotees. These are yogis in shantras. Gold becomes liquid from intense heating. I mentioned that. By a very strong heat of bhava, this heart becomes soft. So, because the gold needs a very intense heating to soften it, a very strong bhava should manifest for him to melt. Lac becomes soft with very little heat. With a little bhava, his heart becomes soft. So this is comparison in the Karkash 3. Prabhupada, a hard heart is compared to a lightning bolt, a gold, and to a shalak. The lightning bolt is very strong and never becomes soft. Similarly, the hearts of those who are engaged in severe austerities and penances do not become very easily softened. So that's why Rupa Goswami in the Eastern division speaks that actually Jnana and Vairagya are not of limbs of bhakti, because by practicing Jnana and Vairagya, the heart becomes very hard and it cannot experience the soft. Bhakti is like a, Navaneet, a soft butter, and which easily melts because of these emotions. So that's why they are pratikul. Jnana and Vairagya are not the limbs of bhakti, and they are pratikul to relish emotions. The golden heart becomes melted at high temperatures as in ecstatic love. And a shalak heart is very easily melted in slight temperatures. Okay, now we'll come to the komala. Softness is of 3 degrees, like bees, wax, butter, and nectar. Madanam, mother is, bee because it is intoxicated with nectar. Butter is navanitakam and nectar. In the relation to these, atra, bhava is like the heat of the sun. Praya surya tapayati. So, sun, how it acts on wax, butter, and nectar. Let us see. Madanam is beeswax. The list of words starting with lagu, light, followed by uttana and shodishta, are considered in relation to words starting with garishta, heavy, followed by gambhir and mahishta, in order to explain the cause of being externally disturbed or undisturbed by Vyabhicāri bhavs. So I hope this means, you know that there is garishta, there is gambhira, and then there is expansive heart, mahishta, like that. And then there is, lagu, uttana, and shodisha. So there is a, gradual, there's a linear way it is mentioned. However, the use of words karkasha, hard, and komal, soft, are used in order to explain the cause of solid or liquid nature, degrees of receptivity of the heart in relation to the chief Stahi Bhav in a person. So, please understand this explanation. Okay, I'll go to the chart. Yes, let's go to the chart. So, this how these Vyabhicāri bhavs can be repressed by a heavy heart, deep heart, mahishta, and karkasha. And these are the Vyabhicāri bhavs which act. That's the point which is being made here. How they act. Okay, where is the verse? Okay, I'll take this slide here. Yes, I'm just going to keep it here. So these lagu, garishta, you can see here. Garishta, lagu, light, lagishta, uttana, shodasha. These two categorizations are in order to explain the cause of being externally disturbed or undisturbed by Vyabhicāri bhavs. So they get disturbed, you can see here. They are undisturbed by the Vyabhicāri bhavs because of their deep heart or heavy heart. And here also in Karkash, we saw how it can happen. But the use of Karkasha, Komala are used in order to explain the cause of solid and liquid riches or the degrees of receptivity of the heart in relation to the person. So if the heart is very Karkasha, hard, like a thunderbolt, there are three, na? There is thunderbolt, and then there is gold, and then there are 3 categories in that. Thunderbolt, gold, and lac. Yes. So within the Karkasha heart, there is a thunderbolt, gold, and lac. Now, thunderbolt heart doesn't receive the Vyabhicāri bhavs. So based on the receptivity, the degree of receptivity in the heart in relation to the chief Savi Bhav in a person, it is being mentioned. So that is the point being said here. The word Garishta indicates being unmoved by any object. because of having a dense nature, thick-skinned individual. Some people we call, na? These people are very thick-skinned. Their heart doesn't melt only, which allows little contact with the object. The word Lagishta indicates being moved by any object because of lack of a dense nature, which allows quite a lot of contact with various stimulus. So, he's not thick-skinned, you can say. Lagishta or Garishta is thick-skinned. Samyak milinam, strongly appearing in verse 2, it means that there is possibility that the bhavas can appear strongly in Garishta or Karkasha hearts, but these are prevented from manifesting externally because of Garishta or Karkasha hearts. Actually, the Vyabhicāri bhavas can manifest strongly in these hearts, but their natures are such that they don't express. Therefore, it will be explained in 216 that when the Sahi Bhav becomes extremely prominent, then even a Garish heart becomes very agitated and the transformations become externally visible. 269 will explain that. Being deep, Gambhira means that there are no visible disturbance even by extensive contact with objects. Now, here objects means not material objects, it is objects in relation with Krishna. Even with an object of powerful stimuli, because contact is not thorough, cannot penetrate the depth. Being surface spread on the surface, Uttana is opposite. There is visible disturbance by less extensive concepts, which is less a powerful object because of thorough contact. Because on the surface, it is. So that's why easily you contact. Expansive means that though a person has extensive contact with objects and thorough contact with the object, with a somewhat suitable object, there is only a localized manifestation of disturbance because his heart is very expansive. It doesn't get affected. That means only one or two senses are affected. Shodesha small means that just by slight contact with the object, there is complete manifestation of bhava spontaneously. In explaining the nature of shallow utthana, the analogy of pond indicates that the emotions are at some depth and still somewhat hidden, whereas in explaining the nature of Shodhishta small, the analogy of the hut indicates that there is nothing hidden at all. Shallow has some depth, something is there inside. But, in the hut, you cannot hide an elephant in a hut. Thunderbolt, gold, and lacquer used to explain the phenomenon of becoming liquid to various degrees. So, how much he'll melt, how much the heart goods going to start melt and starts flowing, they are discussed by these thunderbolt, gold, and lac. The karkasha. That person hard like a thunderbolt is completely hostile to Krishna. That person hard like a gold has equal amounts of hostility and affection for the Lord. That person who is hard like lac is affectionate with a slight tinge of hostility. So that's how it is. On the other hand, beeswax, butter, and nectar indicate 3 degrees of softness in affectionate devotees who are respectfully immature, moderate, or advanced in devotion. So those who are immature, they are like, beeswax. Those who are moderate are like butter, and those who are advanced are like nectar. So the affectionate devotees are like that. The meaning here is that these degrees of hardness or softness will produce even more differences in pairs of their 3, Garishta, Gambhira, Mahishta, Lagushta, Uttana, and Shodishta. So you can make a combination of these. That's what it is mentioned. Okay. Last few parts are there. Beeswax and butter become liquid from different degrees of heat of sun. Nectar is naturally liquid. The hearts of the dear devotees of Govinda are naturally soft like nectar. So we all have experiences in our practice of bhakti. Generally, I'm just saying, making a statement, don't take it. Generally, with coming to devotion, our heart has become a little soft and, we have taken to devotion. But, seeing different people suffering, seeing the suffering of this world, generally the heart doesn't completely melt out of compassion. But the advanced devotee's heart, because his heart is soft like a nectar, it melts and he has compassion. So we have to, our heart is like a steel framed heart, because while chanting the holy name, there is no transformation happening. So ultimately, one has to chant Namabas and especially Shuddha Nam for this complete internal transformation of the heart. The hearts of the dearest devotees are naturally soft, and thus they crave these great varieties of Vyabhicāri vows. A soft heart is compared to honey, butter, and to nectar. And the condition of the mind is compared to sunshine. As honey and butter become melted even in slight sunshine, soft-hearted people become easily melted. Nectar, however, by its nature, is always liquid. And the hearts of those who are pure in ecstatic love with Krishna by nature are always liquefied just like nectar. Okay, so that ends the discussion. Now there are some additional points which Rupa Goswami is making. I will complete this so that we end the discussion. The mind. Okay, there are few verses which I want to discuss, so that these are end notes, you can say. The mind of some devotees may be constantly influenced by the mixture of two or three of the above conditions, such as Garishta. Sometimes one can be very Gambhir and be still. Suddenly one can manifest, Dravyata, and he gets completely melted. Garishta, Gambhir, and Mahishta are caused by having mixed motives in the relationship with Krishna. Lagishta, Uttan, and Shodishta manifest of having no personal motives. Awareness of the greatest of Brahman produces hardness of the heart. Karkasha. I mentioned this. Tapasya. Awareness of sweetness of Krishna produces softness in the heart. The appreciation of Krishna's sweetness and the soft heart produced in his devotees are cause of astonishing effects. This will be explained in the commentary of the 10th canto of the following verses. Here is the Supreme Person who is considered the impersonal Brahman by great sages, Satam, a most wishful form, Paradevatan, by the Das Bhaktyas, Dasyam Gatanam, the son of a human being, Naradarakena, by ordinary man, Maya Ashrita. Now these boys who have performed many, many pleasing activities in their past lives, Krita Punya Punja, are playing with that Supreme Personality in the form of cowherd boy, Sakam Vijaho. Because they have soft hearts, they realize Sakiras with them, intimacy is there. And the same person is, with a Karkasha heart, they cannot relate to him, because that's why he manifests himself as impersonal Brahman. In thus, verse and hand, the minds of these devotees do not show variety caused by material gunas such as Sat, but rather various bhavas, gunas. These bhavas of Prakrit, inferior, and Bhagavat, exalted. The Kanish devotees possess Prakrit bhavas, and these become causes of Garishta, Gambhir, and Mahishta. So the Prakritas show this, and that's why they cannot much relish. The devotees of the highest quality show Bhagavat bhavas. Because of possessing bhavas caused by having hearts soft as nectar, these were completely devoid of the low qualities as Garishta. In all cases, the amount of softness or melting of the heart depends on the strength of the Stahi Bhav. Because they have Stahi Bhava Sakyaras, there is melt. In the list of thunderbolt, gold, and lac mentioned in verse 2, lac is softest, gold is less soft, and thunderbolt is least soft. Thus, the amount of Stahi Bhav will be least in the thunderbolt heart. So the Stahi Bhav will be least in the thunderbolt heart. So that's why these yogis can attain Shant Rasa maximum. And thus, disturbance or lack of disturbance from the Vyabhicāri Bhavas also depends on the strength of the Stahi Bhav. So, if the Stahi Bhav is like thunderbolt, there is lack of disturbance. If the Stahi Bhav is like a soft, like a lac, then there is disturbance because of the Stahi Vyabhicāri Bhavas. But in all cases, the cause being Garishta, Gambhir, Mahishta, Lagishta, Uttan, Shudish is the one natural bhav, strong or weak, and the cause of disturbances are various incidental bhavas. Again, this is a restatement which is already mentioned in the verses. Okay, but when a principal Stahi bhav, Kintu, becomes very prominent, all types of hearts, Sarva Prakaram, Evedam, Chittam, become completely disturbed by the Vyabhicāri bhavs. If the principal bhava becomes very prominent, then all these various transformations happen. There may not be disturbance of the heart from Vyabhicāri bhavas in persons who are Garisht, and in thunderbolt hearts, with there is no softness at all. It has also been said that melting of the heart is created by the Sahibab alone. How then can such a heart be considered a devotee heart at all? This verse answers the question. Bhava here indicates Sahibab, which has become the principal Sahibab of an individual, while the others become incidental. Just as by application of special chemicals, diamonds become soft, so all types of hearts also become soft by very prominent Sahibab. So the previous, like the yogi coming into devotion, he has practiced that austerity. So he doesn't easily get affected. But with the practice of bhakti, then the diamond like heart will also melt because the sahival will become prominent, and then he'll also start experiencing these various incidental bhavas. Prabhupada explains the same thing. I will not go into that. Okay, this is the last verse, very interesting. A devotee is like an ocean, Gambiropi. As Vishnu resides in the ocean milk, so the Lord resides in the heart of the devotee. Harer Aspadam Api. As the ocean is deep or unfathomable, the heart of the devotee is inscrutable, not revealing its qualities. Gambiropi. As the ocean is unwavered, so a devotee is continuous in his service. As the ocean is difficult to cross, but has a permanent shore, so the devotee's qualities are difficult to enumerate, but he appears to limit those qualities. It doesn't, cross the shores. But when a devotee develops full prema, he cannot prevent the transformations arising from that prema. Just as the ocean cannot prevent the rising of the tide when the moon rises from the ocean. So very beautifully in the Dan Keli Komedi, this verse is there. This verse is a summary. The multitude of devotees have natural gambhirtva or inscrutability, which becomes the cause of hiding the prema. Having limits, maryadam, means that a devotee shows a limit to their good qualities in order to avoid arrogance. Being hard to understand completely means that the devotees actually possess unlimited good qualities. That becomes the cause of appearing to have limits. Whenever someone sees a good quality in devotee, that devotee takes that as a rare occurrence, not as because he wants to hide from public awareness. Though the devotees are the abode of the Lord, the devotees make efforts to hide that fact. So in fact, one who has attained bhava, he will never manifest that. If somebody is making a show of it, then it is simply he's cheating himself and cheating others. Nobody will show it. Guasha, he will hide that very deeply in the heart. He will never manifest his qualities. Those who are making that show, uh, they are making a show of devotion. Ati bhakte chorera lakshan, it is said. A devotee does not indulge in showing external symptoms for having attained his nature or from seeing the Lord directly. He does not show that. In relation to ocean, though it is always the residence of the Lord, it undergoes transformation tides on seeing the moon. Because the ocean becomes spread with the rays of moon, its offspring, which makes it suitable for the Lord's pastime for sleeping there. Okay, Prabhupada speaks about the same thing. Now, you know that Srila Prabhupada is a Nitya Siddha coming from the spiritual world and situated in his rasa with Krishna. We don't know whatever it might be because Prabhupada did not speak about it. Many Prabhupada disciples speak about, they don't speak about it also because Prabhupada doesn't speak about it. But Prabhupada never manifested uh, these deep ecstatic emotions. Very rarely, once or twice it has happened, and proper disciples speak who were actually present there. Prabhupada was chanting Jai Radha Madhava, and suddenly he went into ecstasy and he was stunned, and the whole hall was completely still and silent. And Prabhupada was completely in an internal state, and all the devotees who were sitting and observing this, they were able to experience what Prabhupada was experiencing slightly, and they could not handle that. And Prabhupada just indicated, just chant Jai Radha Madhava, and Prabhupada did not give the lecture and he left. And one of the Prabhupada disciple explains that when he, after experiencing what Prabhupada was experiencing, he just saw the BBT picture and he felt that he was in the spiritual world. And that's when, actually Prabhupada's BBT pictures like the windows to the spiritual world, windows to the spiritual world. So similarly, that's how the Lord is, residing in the ocean. The devotee's heart is deep like an ocean where the Lord, he resides there. Prabhupada explains the same of the Dankili Komedi, and that ends the discussion for Vyabhicāri Bhav. So we just completed the overview of Vyabhicāri Bhav. So from next week onwards, we will start the verse by verse discussion on the Stahi Bhav. So I will send, uh, uh, okay, I will take up the questions now. Any questions, any clarifications anyone has? Okay, Shubha Ikshana Krishna Prabhuji. Yes.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam Prabhu.
Yeah, 1 second. You have to speak a little loudly.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam.
Yeah.
Yes, Prabhu. So for the yogis and jnanis, as we were discussing in today's session, their heart is so hard because they don't have any relationship with the Lord. So is it because of this, Prabhu, they attain the Shanta Rasa as a Sthai Bhav?
Yes. They attain the Shantrata. Although the yogi in the Kapil Shiksha, chapter 28, the yogi is meditating on the limbs of the Lord. He is actually internally having the darshan of the Lord and seeing the beautiful limbs, which even, we cannot go so internally and actually in our mind's eyes, we cannot have, we cannot keep a picture also, which we have seen the deity's picture, we cannot hold it. But the mind yogi do through dharana and then dhyan, he's actually able to see the different beautiful limbs of the Lord and dravya chitta, his heart melts. But his heart is compared to a hook, you know, because because of austerities, he has performed tremendous austerities. Although his heart melts, but he's experiencing bhakti rasa, but still because he is performing these tremendous austerities with the desire for liberation, that's why, his heart doesn't completely melt and uh, he attains only self-realization, and then with that self-realization he attains liberation. So that's why their hearts are like karkasha, like that. So that's why tremendous austerity uh, is not anukul to bhakti. That is called as vairagya prayas. Whereas by bhakti, naturally attraction, when we are attached to Krishna, we are detached from matter. So it should be a byproduct and not that we practice it separately. Our austerity is to practice the angas of bhakti, getting up early in the morning, chanting the names of the Lord, reading Bhagavatam. For that, that is, that should be our natural activity. And in the beginning stages, because of conditioning, we have to put in efforts. So that should be the natural state. Is it okay?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, so thank you very much. Shri Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Rupa Goswami Pad ki jai. Hare Krishna.